So in this tip and trick, we're going to be lowering our foliage terrain. And you're like, what the, why would you do that? Like you told us not to do that. You said, oh, never make changes to a lower terrain. So why should, because it messes up your foliage. And why would you do that? Well, we're not exactly lowering it. We're going to make it a little bit more precise compared to our meshes. So let me show you this. So in Unity here, and I'll have to, I've already fixed this foliage, so I'm gonna have to try to attempt to show you what the problem is. So if you look at this grass right here, this piece of grass, and what happened was this, in my persistent storage, I persisted painted this piece of grass right here, and you can see it's kind of floating in the air a little bit. The reason for that is my foliage was up in the air because of the way it was conformed. So you make a terrain, you export it, it goes through Blender. Blender manipulates it and smooths it out a little bit, and then you conform your meshes to it. And then sometimes when you put your meshes back in here, and the foliage terrain might be up above it slightly, or even maybe just underneath it, right? And if you find that when you're planting grasses using persistent storage, that they're floating or they're not exactly on your mesh, it's probably because your foliage train isn't sitting exactly flush with your meshes. And this is how you fix it. And I have to give credit, I think it was Pac-Man that discovered this. So I'm just making the video, but I have to give 100% of the credit to Pac-Man on this one. So he did this little workaround. So what you do is you take your foliage train. Well, let me just show you this first. Let me take this rock. I'm going to disable this rock. And I have draw enabled for my foliage train. Now, normally you wouldn't do that, right? You have that draw off. But you can see I got some good Z footing here. It's like 50-50, which means that foliage train is sitting right up against that mesh really precisely. If you see that it's either completely missing or it's way above this, then it's not sitting precisely, and that's why you're having the issue. But we can fix this. So we do it with the lowering terrain script. So we go up here, highlight foliage, we go up here to our GSP lower terrain under meshes, and you're thinking, oh boy, what the hell is he thinking? What's he gonna do? And when Pac-Man said this, I was a little skeptical as well. But you highlight your foliage. Sorry, you didn't see that. It was on a different screen. I had to select my foliage, and you change this to 0. All right. And what it does is it just lowers it right to your meshes at that point, and then you hit lower all splines. I'm not going to do it because it does take quite a bit of time. I think it might take, in this course, it took like 10 minutes. Lower it, and then it's matches and it's nice and flush. I will say though, just for sanity's sake, you might just maybe want to back up your foliage first, using the train. Where is it? GSP. There's a train backup. You can back up your foliage train before do it if it makes you feel better. I definitely did. But yeah, you just do that lowering, and then when you plant, it's going to be perfect.